Hey everyone, Vijay here. In this video, I'm going to talk about my decision to go back to Ubuntu after a short trip into the Fedora world. As you must know, I tried installing Fedora after having a bit of trouble with the Ubuntu 16 and 18. I came from the 14 world version, sorry. It's not like I didn't like Fedora, it's actually much better than the one that I'm currently going to talk about now. But as they say, horses for courses, I'm going to stick with my good old Ubuntu, though it has imperfections and it's not as great as Fedora is in some ways. So yeah, coming to why I left Fedora. It was actually a very hard decision to make. The operating system actually felt initially great, and I really thought it was going to be my new platform for development and all things like administering the server and connecting servers. That's what people do with Linux. But actually, I stumbled upon a crazy hard problem that I couldn't fix, and I finally felt like I had no intentions to do it because, as you see, I actually want a distro that has moderate to little adaptation requirements. But the stage where I was in, it was eating up too much time, and I didn't believe I could get that kind of problem with that kind of software I was trying to set up. Okay, so I think enough with the bickering. The bottom line is that I didn't think Fedora is made for someone like me. I'm a regular developer that uses either prepackaged software binaries or builds his own software by compiling the source tree. My old OS, the Ubuntu, always helped me in this regard. Like I told you, I've been using Ubuntu for like 10 years, and no wonder I was never bored of it or wanted to leave it. It just worked out of the box. And now, too, after getting back to 18.04, I'll tell you the details about why I went to 18.04 later. But all the software that I had trouble setting up in Fedora just went ultra smooth in Ubuntu. On the other hand, Fedora mostly has brilliantly documented software, which is like breeze to set up. It's an actually breezy, so easy to set up. The instructions are very clean and neat and to the point. But when it comes to either using third-party software binaries or, like example, the Java SDK, or if you want to compile the source, there is some trouble getting it to work. I mean, you have to actually literally spend hours and tinker with a lot of things, and finally hope that it works. It's not certain that it will work. You will only hope that it works. Personally, I just don't want to do it all over again for Fedora because I've been doing it uh, all these years with Ubuntu already. So I didn't want to go back to that loop or whatever you want to say. So ultimately, I thought the wise thing was to just switch back to Ubuntu because it's tried and tested, and I know the core. Okay, so one was to be wondering why I went with 18.04 instead of the tried and tested and my current OS, the Ubuntu 14.04. Why I made the jump to 18 instead of 14. Like I said before, I wanted to use the latest Ubuntu. The 14.04 is the best OS for my requirements. All my development, all the software I wrote, or the scripts that I wrote, were developed with 14.04 in mind. And I know that once I install 14.04, they will work out of the box. But however, I want to keep the core Ubuntu intact and try out the new version. I already had a hunch all my software will work out of the box with little to minor tweaks. Because already being a Ubuntu user for 10 years, I should be able to uh, work out if something doesn't work. Of course, the GNOME desktop, which has replaced the Unity, it scared me a bit first, but after getting used to it, it felt similar. Because I think the guys from Canonical, they deliberately kept the UI similar to Ubuntu with the left bar and many other things like the terminal. This is the main point of this video. terminal keyboard input, it was laggy in the beginning. After I installed 16.04 and 18.04, the things that were bugging me were uh, the actual thing was the lag in the keyboard input. That actually prompted me to try out Fedora, and Fedora is excellent in that. Did I tell you? I did mention it in my previous video that once I installed Fedora and booted up the terminal, fired up terminal and wrote the Hello World C program. It was so responsive. I wanted to be there and I didn't want to get out of it. However, my requirements are a little bit different. Like I told you, I wanted a certain piece of software to work, and I write certain piece of programming languages, and they need to be absolutely compatible with the operating system. And sadly, Fedora wasn't supporting me in that. And then, of course, I had to go back to 14 to continue my development. But I had, like I told you, I had this hunch that 18 will also work. Forget about 16 because 18 is the latest. I want to work on the 18. And while I was installing certain software, I unlocked the performance key. Do you want to know what it is? Yes, like many of you know that Ubuntu 18.04 doesn't come with the GNU-C compiler, GCC, because everybody directly installs it using apt commands or going to the Snapchat, I'm not sorry, the Snap Store to download, or the Ubuntu Software Center to download. But I am a different kind of a developer. I want to write the Hello World C program first to get off to business, and then I compile my own code, so I need the C compiler. I mean, I don't write C code much, but to compile software like the Python or PHP or any kind of software, you need the C compiler. And 18.04 doesn't come along with the C compiler. And the next thing I had to do was install the C compiler. So sudo apt-get install GCC. And you know what? This actually is the key for the performance unlock. How I came to know was that after that I had written a small PHP script on the terminal using the Vim editor, and to my surprise the lag was gone, man. It was not there. It was not like how it was in the beginning after I installed it, but installed the 18.04 operating system. Once you install the GCC tool, the lag is gone. I don't know what this is, why this happens, but it is the actual key. Of course, I also installed the latest software from the software center. I mean the software updater. It comes up, it pops up automatically. You have to just simply wait for 20 minutes or to install all the latest software. Anybody doing distro hopping would actually know what I'm saying. And that could actually be the reason for the performance unlock. And I'm pretty happy with this new performance. I'm going to stick with Ubuntu 18.0 for now. Finally, you can see me typing a lot here. I don't do it with so much involvement unless the keyboard input is rapid. This is the 18.0 for Ubuntu, and the laptop I'm typing on is the Lenovo ThinkPad T430 from 2012. It got upgraded to 8 gigs of RAM, and the OS is incredible to use, man. The Ubuntu 18.04 is amazing. You can develop on it and get productive. The theme, the look of it is so futuristic. I'm gonna keep the keyboard typing session a little longer here because that's actually the point of the video, and that is actually again the original reason I had to do all these things like distro hopping, installing, compiling, testing the terminal, etc. So I'm finally back with my old buddy Ubuntu with its newest and prettiest avatar, the 18.04. I know the 19.10 is much more prettier, but I don't want to use it. I want to use an LTS version. And there you go. I'll see you next time.